Welcome to the Shabby and Man podcast. We are partners, parents, podcasters, broadcasters,
and everything else in between. Namaskar. So, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about some important things, some exciting things, but let's talk about this crazy weather in the UK first. It hasn't snowed in London, but we've had people sending us their snow pictures, beautiful snow pictures from the suburbs of London.
Hold on. People might think we're a bit weird. People are not sending us the pictures. People are sending you on your radio show.
On my radio show. And generally friends who live in the suburbs. We live in the main city, even though we are the northern tip of the main city nonetheless.
I think it did snow for an hour or so.
In London as well.
Yeah.
But it was snowing up north, snowing very heavily. And now suddenly we've gone from -1 and -2 and 3 and 4 to about 16 degrees today in London. Talking about the maximum, of course. And it's absolutely crazy. I think global warming is scarier than it first appeared. And
make the most of it. If it's good for November that it's 16 degrees.
It's good for today, but it's very bad news for the planet, isn't it? But the weather's been absolutely crazy. That's why you might hear a few pauses here and there. Actually, that's what I wanted to say. Because we've all had a cough and a cold and it's lingering and it hasn't really gone away.
So you're linking a cough and cold with
the crazy weather.
The planet.
The planet, indeed. The fact that it's hotter, the seasons are no longer well defined, that it is, when it's meant to be cold, it's not. And one day hot, one day cold. I know, as a joke, people say, England is one of those places, Britain is one of those places where you get 4 seasons in a day, but now we really are getting 4 seasons in a day. So,
if we were like proper broadcasters, we could have linked it to COP, climate change.
Yeah, that's true. We are proper broadcasters, and I believe the talks have been salvaged at the last minute. Finally, the richer countries have come to some sort of an agreement to help the poorer countries deal with climate change and put certain things in place, because obviously
Listen, they're all bricking it. They're trying to do what they can before Trump comes into power.
No, but it is a serious challenge. Now you can see that it's no longer something which only, it's no longer something that only politicians will want to find a solution to because it will stand them in good stead. It's something that everyone wants a solution to. Right, moving on. This is also the time of year when big films come out, in Hollywood and in Bollywood. It started with the 2 big Diwali releases in Bollywood, neither of which we've seen, Bhool Bhulaiya 3 and Singham Again. But
huge star casts.
Big star cast, big franchises, very, very hyped. And
did they do well?
They've done well, more or less. Both stories got, I think, mixed reviews. But I think the long and short of it is that a month and a half after they came out on Diwali, Kartik Aaryan, I think, has stolen a march over Singham Again. And that's what people are celebrating, that there is hope for mid-budget, slightly smaller star-driven films that don't necessarily have cars exploding and a A-list star cast.
The multi-universe, as it was. In Singham Again, it's called Singham Again.
Yeah.
Who all are in it? Because I can't remember now.
So he brought back the entire franchise. Of course, as you know, Ajay Devgan is Bhaji Rao Singham or whatever his name is.
So they've got Ranveer.
They've got Ranveer as Simba. They've got Akshay as Suryavanshi. They've got Arjun Kapoor for the first time playing the baddie.
And they've got Deepika.
They've got Deepika guesting on it. They've got Kareena Kapoor in it. There's another girl who I forget. So it's got a massive star cast. And again, it drew inspiration from the Ramayana, which did not impress some people.
Now, unlike you, I don't get to see movies left, right and centre.
Yes.
So I'm quite big screen deprived. So when I see a movie on the big screen,
automatically you have a glowing review ready, regardless of merit.
It's just to see something on the big screen is a big thing for me.
Which is very sad.
And I went to see Gladiator 2.
I would have come with you, but
because we saw Gladiator 1 together just before we got married.
No, just after we got married. It came out in 2000. So it must have been a few months after we got married. No, I googled it only the other day and it said that 24 years after the first one came out. So it came out in 2000 and we must have seen it a few months after getting married.
And we loved it.
We absolutely loved it. I mean,
so
Russell
I was
Crowe,
quite excited to see.
Yeah, Russell Crowe became a global star. The world discovered how to say Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yes, before that we
had no idea. And it was a fantastic film.
And Ridley Scott we knew he was great, but
Yeah.
this just enhanced his greatness.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't you once walk past
I did.
his house and
I was waiting for you to mention that.
And he waved at you or something?
Yes. It wasn't just me. It was actually a whole group of people, and we were doing a London walk. And
He just lives around the corner anyway.
He lives around the corner, but one of the big famous celebrity houses that they point out, I forget now whether it was in Highgate or Hampstead, one of these two places, is Ridley Scott's house. And suddenly, so the guide we stood outside the gates and he was explaining why it was such an important landmark and who Ridley Scott was to those who didn't know, etc., etc. And suddenly we saw a man stand at the window waving at us. And the guy said, "Oh my God, I think that's Ridley." And I think it was. So it was quite funny.
So, are you going to ask me what I thought of Gladiator 2?
Yes, please tell us. Besides the fact that you were absolutely
No, to see
in
something
seventh heaven to see something on 70mm.
to see something on the big screen is beautiful. And this is one of those movies you have to see on the big screen,
Yep.
really. But, truth be told, or as my mom likes to say, honestly,
To tell you honestly.
I didn't think that Paul Mescal, who plays Gladiator, I don't think he was of the same level of Russell Crowe, basically. I mean, he's an actor more than a star. And you could tell, a star is like Denzel Washington. Every scene that
Who's also in that film, right?
Yeah, every scene that Denzel Washington was in, you know, he's an actor and a star. Paul Mescal, I know he's the flavor of the month, but it just didn't add up for me. You know,
I think that is the overriding critique.
that oomph was missing.
Everybody was saying that it had all the elements. God, that sounds like a Sanjay Leela Bhansali film. It had all the elements, but there was something missing. And considering how much we loved Paul Mescal in Normal People, when we saw him was it on Netflix or one of these streaming platforms during lockdown?
I was going to say it's during lockdown.
During lockdown, and it was brilliantly done. And I know a lot of people panned it for a
Is that
lot
a
of skin show.
Sally Rooney one?
It is a Sally Rooney novel.
No, yeah.
And somehow Paul Mescal is not the first name that comes to mind when you think of somebody as a gladiator, right?
No, it was good.
So did he toughen up? Did he kind of really get the physique for it? And
he did, but
It wasn't the same.
I just felt I personally thought Gladiator 1, what I remember of it, was much better. I've seen Gladiator, the original one, on TV since then, since those 25
I've completely
years.
forgotten. I don't think I've seen it in the last 24 years.
So,
Do you think that might be a problem that sequels face if they leave too long a gap between two consecutive films?
maybe it's a bit too long.
In other words, do you think the younger generation, those who hadn't seen Gladiator 1, are they saying the same thing, or are they completely enamored by Paul Mescal?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know, but I did read that, like you always point out with Sanjay Leela Bhansali and what is the thing, Hiramandi.
Yeah.
A lot of people have gone for Ridley Scott, saying that it wasn't very authentic.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where Denzel Washington is, I think, in a cafe reading a paper.
In Roman times?
Yeah. The equivalent of a cafe.
Yeah.
Or having a coffee or whatever. reading
dhaba.
paper. And they said those sort of things weren't around in those days. Neither the coffee,
Which is quite shocking
neither
because...
the coffee nor the kind of restaurant kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Which is quite shocking. You don't expect it from Hollywood. Definitely not from director of Ridley Scott's stature. But that's exactly the same criticism that they leveled against Bhansali.
It's movie's a fantasy.
No, it's true. But they said the same thing about Hiramandi. That, if he wanted to take such liberties with history, he should have just named it something else. But to give it an authentic name and to actually try...
Hiramandi is actually a place in
a place which was known for the Notch girls and the prostitutes, and it was completely a page from history taken out and then completely given a Bollywood makeover, which is being unfair to history. That's what people have pointed out. Like I said,
a lot of things
chandelier कम लगा देते अपने set पे, एक historian, एक researcher ज़्यादा लगा
No, but a
देते.
lot of things in Gladiator are real.
No, but it's the same with Hiramandi. Hiramandi, a lot of the stuff is true.
There was a Colosseum.
Yeah.
There is the king there.
Yeah.
Was the king there. The emperor rather.
So you're saying that it was entertaining but not as good as the first one. Is that what you're saying?
In my humble opinion.
In your very humble opinion. Now let's talk about...
But saying that, you have to go and see it and make up your own mind. And if you want to see it, go and see it on a big screen.
Yeah.
The last movie I saw before this was probably James Bond, I think, or Mission Impossible.
And James Bond what? I'm guessing Sean Connery James Bond.
No, funny, but not so funny.
Let's talk about, you went to see a film, I went to see a concert. And this was at the Royal Albert Hall, Javed Akhtar and Pratibha Singh Baghel, which on the face of it I felt was a slightly odd combination. Both of them are very talented individually, very accomplished.
For those who don't know, one is a writer and a screenwriter.
Yeah.
And writes songs as well.
And a raconteur, he can really tell stories.
A great wit. And the other is a singer.
And again, they're completely two different generations. So I wasn't quite sure how it would work.
I'm guessing he'd talk about the song and she'd sing the song.
That's exactly what happened. And he would give us the context and he would tell us why a certain song that she was about to sing was famous. And because it was a Sufi concert, naturally, I have a lot of respect for the way the playlist was chosen. And they did something very smart. Javed Akhtar first asked her to pick her favorites, her inspiration from the world of Sufi music and ghazals. And of course, these are legends we're talking about way before Pratibha's time, our time.
The Muhammad Rafi kind of songs.
Muhammad Rafi se bhi pehle, the Begum Akhtar and the Mehdi Hasan and the Noor Jahan and the fantastic legendary voices that have, graced films and live performances around the world, and they're absolute stalwarts in the world of ghazals and thumri and classical music, semi-classical music. And then of course she came down to Asha Bhosle, Lata Mangeshkar, Rafi Sahab, all of those things. And he would tell us beautiful stories. For instance, one of the stories that really stayed with me was Javed Sahab said that Pratibha is going to sing perhaps one of the most loved ghazals by Ghulam Ali, which is Chupke Chupke Raat Din Aansu Bahana Yaad Hai.
I know that.
Humko ab tak aashiki ka wo zamana yaad hai. Everybody knows it, right? And he said that the world has perhaps forgotten that the most important person to be celebrated in this composition is the man who wrote this ghazal. Of course, Ghulam Ali sang it with so much passion and made it an absolute chartbuster on either side of the border, Pakistan, India, everywhere. But the man who wrote it was a gentleman called, Hasrat Mohani. And Javed Sahab says that Hasrat Mohani was actually a freedom fighter. And he was so active, so politically active as a freedom fighter that the Brits actually threw him in jail.
But this song has got nothing to do with freedom fighting.
And he said that was the beauty of his personality, that whilst he was an avid, committed freedom fighter by day, he is the one who coined the phrase Inqilab Zindabad, long live the revolution, which emerged.
Which you always associate with any movie you watch. With
any movie. He says such an iconic phrase. Again, people have forgotten that he is the one who coined that phrase. So he would be a political activist by day, also spent many weeks and months in jail. And by night he would write the most romantic and the most moving poetry that you could imagine, which was set to music later. And Chupke Chupke Raat Din is one of those ghazals. So it's these little insights that Javed Sahab, of course, knows them like the back of his hand. And he's so good at telling a story. And then he talked about, I forget now who it was, whether it was Farida Khanum or it was somebody else. And he said that I owe Shabana, my courtship with Shabana owes a lot to this lady, because it was when Shabana gave me a cassette. उन दिनों में तो कैसेट होते थे. उन्होंने एक बार मैं उनके पास मुलाकात करने के लिए गया किसी काम के सिलसिले में, और उन्होंने मुझे एक कैसेट दी और कहा कि ये मेरी फेवरेट गज़ल है, आप ज़रूर सुनिएगा. And that's how our courtship began, धीरे धीरे. So
I hope you'll be saying that in a couple of years' time about how I gave you a CD when we met.
Oh yeah, indeed. Which one in particular do you have in mind? Bob Seger.
Bob Seger, wasn't it?
It was Bob Seger.
Or it was Supertramp.
Or Supertramp, one or the other. But that's what actually made the concert so special. Again, not taking anything away from Pratibha, she's a fantastic singer. She hits all the high notes, sings the most complicated ghazals effortlessly. And of course, the Albert Hall is the Albert Hall.
Now,
so it was fabulous.
You did a couple of interviews this week. One was with this American Pakistani rap.
That's right, Bohemia.
That's right. And this is the one I want to really ask you about. You interviewed Abhishek Bachchan.
Indeed, I did.
Did you... I've been reading all these rumors about him and Ash. Did you ask him? Did you go there, or you're not allowed to go there, or how was it?
No, I think it was made fairly clear that we had to talk about the film that's out. He's done a film with Shudit Sarkar titled I Want to Talk.
Where so you should have said, that was the link. You said, listen, I want to talk. Can I just ask you something?
No, he was not in the happiest of moods that day. And anyway, I anyway believe in watching a movie first before speaking about it, and I wasn't quite happy that I wasn't too happy about it. That I had no idea what I was referencing, but that was an interview this week.
Any other ones? Anything else?
Not really. We had a fantastic time last weekend. Have we spoken about this?
No,
I don't think we have.
Let's put it in context. I know what you're talking about. So it was, I can't believe he's 20. It was our elder son's 20th birthday.
Yes.
So we went to his university for a formal dinner. That's right. I wore a suit. You wore your best frock.
Yes.
We went there.
Cocktail dress
with... It was very strange. Each person had to bring a bottle of wine or 1 pint of beer. No hard alcohol.
Yeah.
And so he advised us, bring wine because you get a couple of glasses.
Yeah.
And you can get a couple of glasses of wine. And everyone there had a bottle of wine in there.
Yeah.
And this is a bit... I'm sure
we could have taken more than one bottle, but none of us are wine drinkers.
Yeah.
And we were just drinking because the occasion demanded.
No, I don't mind the odd glass of red wine here and there. I know what you really want to mention. Is it was a very formal hall, beautiful setting, and the fact that you're not allowed to use your phone while the food is being served, or rather, the students are not allowed to use their phones, or their guests.
Which was actually amazing because it is a formal dinner, 3-course, 4-course dinner served over 2 hours. And it's only when it concludes right towards the end, that's when you're allowed to take selfies or, look at your phone. So
First of all, it's quite intimidating as well because it starts with speeches in Latin, which we had no idea what they're saying.
I think they're saying grace, right?
It was grace, yeah.
I'm sure. And then you have to wait for the fellows and professors to take their place at the high table. They're served first, then you're served. But I loved the formality and the relaxed atmosphere. What is a hall full of students if it isn't filled with laughter and chatter? And it was absolutely refreshing in this day and age to see people not hooked to their phones, not scrolling, not taking selfies. For the most part, it was just people talking and laughing and socializing.
Because it's a formal dinner, which happens I think twice a week or something, you can bring 2 guests.
Yeah.
Which normally people bring their parents, I presume.
Yeah, or friends, our son has had many, many people as guests, and all the students and the fellows have to come in their academic gown. So you have to wear a suit and a tie, and then the students wear a gown over it.
And the really nice thing was that we're talking about Cambridge here.
Yeah.
But only yesterday he was at Oxford.
Yeah.
For his friend's
formal dinner.
Yeah.
Visiting his school friend.
Yeah. And it's a bit different, but same principle.
Yeah, but it's quite funny because he was sending us photos and saying, "Oh my God, their halls of residence are like this, their rooms are like this, and this is what." So it's also, did you know, for instance, because I follow their college and Cambridge University on Instagram, did you know that a few days ago, I think it was on Friday, they had what they call Varsity Day. You know what that is?
It's a magazine, Varsity.
Varsity is a magazine, but Varsity Day is celebrated in his college when, across 5 or 6 different sports, Jesus Oxford takes on Jesus Cambridge. So I thought, what a beautiful concept.
There are very few colleges which are common
in both universities. Yeah. So I thought, what a wonderful way to celebrate.
And he sent me a photo of the library where he was sitting in this weekend.
Oh, you're talking about the Bodleian?
The Bodleian.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the most famous libraries.
World famous.
Isn't it?
It is as beautiful as it is. Again, don't they say that...
the British Library...
Yeah, don't they say that every single book that's published in this country has to leave a copy at the British Library and the Bodleian Library?
And somewhere else. Maybe Trinity Dublin or somewhere. Somewhere else.
Yeah,
3, I think.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. I think we've had quite an action-packed fortnight since we last recorded an episode, and I'm hoping that by the time we record the next episode, my voice will be okay.
Oh, one last thing I want to talk about, the formal dinner. I can tell I'm getting old now. Because, after the dinner was over, there was a coffee and mince. And I don't know if it's because I had the wine and the coffee or something, but I didn't get any sleep that night. I don't think I can drink coffee anymore. So with that, shall we say bye-bye?
I think we should.
Okay then.
Until next time, then, look after yourself, follow us on social media, and stay tuned to the next episode.